Hold on. Good afternoon. This is TerpTalk Game Day. It's actually good morning to most of you. Today, Maryland visits West Virginia. We have a new setup here. 3 different video feeds coming in. We've got Freddy in Boca, and we've got Bruce coming in from Baltimore. I'm over in Montgomery County along with Intern Mason. And the first thing we have to do is start with last week's game, sort of a wrap-up of what we saw with Caleb Rowe. We're going to start with Bruce. What do you think of Caleb's performance?
I think Caleb will give Maryland a chance to win almost any game they play. You know, after watching him perform last week, you just had the feeling that we have a real quarterback. And no knock to Perry Hills, but Caleb made the team move. He made it happen. And you just have that feeling going into West Virginia that if Caleb Rowe has a strong day, which he will have to because of Skylar Howard, I think is his name,
right?
Who's pitching at 72%, right? He's going to have a big game because we know that West Virginia is going to put points on the board. 17-point favorite for West Virginia? I don't think so.
Well, for Caleb, I like the good parts. There's a good Caleb, a bad Caleb. The interceptions troubled me, but I will give you that he moved the team, and we certainly look better with Caleb than we look with Perry. Of course, Freddy's got that distant view of what's really going on at Maryland. How would you grade out Caleb's performance from last week?
C+, B-. I mean, made some nice throws. Made a beautiful throw down to Jacobs for the 70-yarder. Unfortunately, he threw 3 picks, and against better competition, you can't throw 3 interceptions. Percentage-wise, he was about, 57, 58%. He wasn't great, but certainly capable of the big play because he has a very strong arm and nice core of receivers that Maryland's putting together. There's a lot of youth, but good speed and good athleticism there.
Freddie, would you take 424 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions tomorrow?
No, because that'll lose.
Maybe, maybe not. Depends where the interceptions are.
Well, 3 interceptions it's unacceptable against a good team. And Maryland last week, over 100 yards penalties, which is very undisciplined football. Got to cut that at minimum in half. 3 fumbles, and we recovered all 3. Even took 1 for a touchdown. But against better teams, you can't put the ball on the ground.
No, I agree. And look, let's be fair to Caleb. That was his first real game this year, and in a long time. And he was overthrowing at first, just like he did in the first game he played in against Bowling Green. So hopefully that will be not a picture. But he hit a couple bombs, Freddie. You know, he hit Laverne Jacobs perfect, in stride, great touchdown. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I feel good about the game tomorrow, Freddie. Of course, I've never seen West Virginia play. So
Maryland, for them, I'm not going to give any predictions of scores or players of the game, but for Maryland to really be in the game and have a chance to win tomorrow, I believe, number one, they've got to make big plays on offense, 3 or 4, maybe 5 plays of 40 yards or more, so you don't have to worry about trying to ball control, because this West Virginia team, on paper, their competition they haven't played is great. They did beat Georgia Southern, who in turn beat a MAC team, Western Michigan. But on paper, not the best run. They're tough to run against, and they have an excellent cornerbacks. So tough team to pass against on paper, tough team to run against. But of course, they're playing on grass or AstroTurf tomorrow. But big plays by the offense. Defense, I think, has to make 1 or 2 plays, either score or give the offense a short field. Same with the special teams. But you can't have turnovers, and you can't have 100 yards and penalties.
I'm worried about the linebackers for Maryland and this sort of spread out Dana Holgerson offense that's been tearing it up so far. Jefferson and Shiru's been okay. Carter's been pretty good. I think Jalen Brooks has underperformed a bit. Defensive line to me for Maryland looks good with Quentin Jefferson, Kingsley Opara, Anna Bonham, of course, Ngakwe. Bruce, what do you think about Sean Davis and how the defensive backs can hang with what seems to be a precision passing game from West Virginia?
Well, they picked on Sean Davis, the Bowling Green quarterback, who has really made a name for himself. So you know who they're going after tomorrow. They're not going after Will Likely. They're not going after the other 2 guys, Davis. They're going after Sean Davis, all right? Nixon and Hendy. So
Right.
they're going after Sean Davis, and I would assume one of the safeties has got to help him a little bit and leave single coverage out there on Will Likely and, take our chances, put somebody out there on Likely Island, as we like to say.
Will Likely is one of the leaders in all of football. I think he has 1 3/4 pass breakups per game, and generally they throw the ball over there 4 times, complete one's incomplete, and the other 2 he breaks up. Sean Davis, although it's a result of the receivers catching the ball, is one of the leaders as a defensive back in tackles in all of football. Will Likely still making his name as he moves up 8 different record categories in the Maryland record book. So he's having a good season. Hopefully we can rely on him as a weapon, as a punt returner. Maybe West Virginia will kick to him again. It's been a big part of our offense.
Got to talk about the atmosphere there, Wayne, tomorrow that you'll see when you go. I think it's one of the premier places in college football from where I've been to, as far as the fans, and they must have 30,000 tailgaters before the game. And after the game, when they break into, what's the song, Almost Heaven, West Virginia, that place just, the whole place sings it. It's just a fantastic place for a football game.
I'm happy to be heading up there. I promised the kids a trip to West Virginia to get to see them play. I didn't realize until I looked at the upcoming schedule, Maryland doesn't play West Virginia again until the year 2020. I'm not sure they're replaced with next year. In 17, 18, I believe 19, Maryland's replaced West Virginia in the schedule with Texas. So that's an interesting move. The last time you went up there, what was the score of the game?
I think Freddy asked me that yesterday. I think it was 31-21, maybe 34-24, and Geno Smith was the quarterback for West Virginia. And at the time, West Virginia was bouncing between 1 or 2 in the country. And the very next week, they gave up like 70 points to Baylor or something. Right. So what was the score?
Mason says it's
31-21 West Virginia.
All right, I remembered it, unfortunately. Stephon had a big game. Had a great touchdown catch and run. And overall, the Terps looked, it was a game. But at the end, it wasn't that close. But Maryland was in it for a while. I just don't remember how it went.
Maybe we can catch them a little bit looking ahead. Their next 4 games, they play Oklahoma, currently ranked 15th, Oklahoma State, 24th, Baylor, number 5, and TCU, number 3. Maybe this is like a trap game.
Yeah, hey, that's some schedule, Freddie. That is some. I mean, they're looking at, if they don't win tomorrow, they'll be 2-5 most likely, right?
Well, they're right now. I mean, again, they've only played Liberty and Georgia Southern. They're ranked 26th by the coaches, 27th in the AP. Maryland's lost 8 out of the last 9 to West Virginia. Last time we beat them was at the M&T ballpark, where we trounced them. They were just one of those worst teams I've ever seen in my life. Maryland lifetime 27, 22-2 against the Mountaineers.
Yeah.
And the last time we won in Morgantown was in 2002.
Freddie, what's that stat you always throw at me about Edsel hasn't won a game against the top 25 or something?
It was 1 in 26 lifetime, 0-10 at Maryland against top-ranked team, nationally ranked teams.
Well, I think tomorrow could be I don't know if you consider 26 nationally ranked or not, but
I will call it nationally ranked.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Dana Holgerson is 30-23 in his 5th year at West Virginia. They've beaten 6 ranked teams, and that offense has been fairly unstoppable. And I think I now am convinced Maryland can score. With Caleb, you can move the ball. The good Caleb, you can really move the ball. It's whether or not we can get these guys off the field. I think West Virginia's all-time record for running plays was 109 plays. I think that was the game Mason talked about a moment ago. Who was the kicker?
Lambert.
Lambert comes into Byrd Stadium last year, kicks a field goal as time expires, but in that game, I think West Virginia had 109 plays. Bruce, you've heard Randy talk that the type of offense really doesn't belong in college football. What do you think?
You mean the rapid play? Well, I don't agree with that. I think that's part of the game. Chip Kelly created and is having so much trouble with it, the Eagles. But as long as you're within the rules, I don't have a problem, you know. And his theory is that kids get hurt because they're exhausted. But you have to establish depth, and if you got to use your depth. And Maryland's very lucky that they played Bowling Green before this game, even though they lost. But I think that they'll be ready for this game. And I chatted a few words with Randy. He's pretty confident, and he realizes that a win tomorrow and Maryland's 3-1. That's pretty good. I don't think either of you two will disagree with me there. To beat, even though they lost to Bowling Green at home, to beat West Virginia on the road, Freddie, I believe would be a big win.
That would be, I would say, his best win at Maryland. I think he'll win tomorrow at West Virginia. Because when we beat
I gotta take that Penn State win last year because that was an all-time lifer. I think beating West Virginia is good, but winning at Penn State was one of the great Maryland football moments. And I know, Freddie, you don't agree it was a great game, and Penn State.
Well, Freddie's right in regard. Penn State was horrible last year.
We beat a brand name, not a good football team last year.
Right. I mean,
we beat a brand name, not a good team.
Yeah, we had beat the 26th best team in the country, like Penn State. I mean, like Virginia. West Virginia will be tomorrow. I think tomorrow, taking away the emotional aspect of it, I think tomorrow would be just a monster win for the program. I really do. And beating Penn State and Michigan were great last year, but to beat a team like West Virginia on the road would be a feather in the cap, so to speak.
Well, we need a couple of those feathers. There's the cap.
There's the cap.
Right there. Make Maryland great again. Thank you again for the sponsorship of Donald Trump's hat. So what is your West Virginia Mountaineer there that you have hold of, Freddie? What's he think?
This is Bill Murray from Caddyshack, and he says Maryland's got to get out quick to a quick 2-touchdown lead, take the crowd out of the game, then we're going to have a ball game. Got to score explosively, got to score fast.
Okay, Bruce?
Yes?
With that, you think that's the only way to win this game is to have a lead and sort of milk it through the day?
I don't fully agree with that. I really believe that Maryland obviously can't fall behind by too much, but it's not going to be easy to come from behind. But last game we fell behind big time and came back. And I have faith in Caleb Rowe. I really do. I believe that if he's on and if he can stay upright, and he gets a little protection. By the way, I think I got this stat right. Maryland leads the country in sacks allowed, okay, for their quarterback in, like, none?
0, correct.
0, Freddie.
No sacks.
3 games, no sacks. That's impressive.
Absolutely. I don't care who you're playing. You could be the Little Sisters of the Poor, a really good team. 0 sacks in 3 games. The number of passes being thrown is very, very good.
Okay, Mason, how do you?
Tomorrow, though, we need to. We've had trouble running the ball this year. Need to run the ball tomorrow. If we can do that, gives Caleb a little more time to throw, and we work that play action for the deep pass. That could be really a good sign for Maryland. We got to get Ross and Wes Brown as Banner Renown getting going tomorrow on the ground.
All right, Mason, what do you think about this game?
Well, for Maryland to win, I don't think Caleb Rowe can throw an interception on the first 2 possessions because if West Virginia gets good field position, I'll feel that they'll score every time.
Probably true, but it's not. He doesn't have to be perfect.
No, there can be 1 or 2 turnovers. They just can't be like throws the ball up when Maryland's on their own 20-yard line and gets picked off on the 30-yard line and returned for a touchdown.
Right. There's a little bit of Kirk Cousins going on there. The wrong play at the wrong time. Well, we'll go back. I don't want to talk about the Redskins from last
year. I can't believe you even brought that up.
What was the final score of that game?
31-21, but it wasn't that close.
No, that was not.
The same score of Maryland, West Virginia. That's weird.
Right. Well, I hope we can do better tomorrow. So I know Freddie doesn't want to play key player of the game, but I know Bruce loves that part. What's your key player of the game for tomorrow?
Well, I predicted it right last week with Caleb Rowe. I think tomorrow we're going to have to go with Brandon Ross. I think for Maryland to win, or we should go with the right tackle, but for Maryland to win, I think Brandon Ross has to have a good game. Maybe even like 90 or 100 yards. They can't, if they get in a shootout match with this team, I don't believe they're going to win, Freddie. I think they got to keep them off the field a little bit. because the shootout seems to be in the favor of West Virginia, especially being home. So Maryland did put up 37 points against this team last year. All right, albeit West Virginia scored 40. But if I'm not mistaken, Maryland was thrown in the end zone at the end of the game and threw a pick, and that was that. I think Maryland will be able to score on this team. I really do.
Freddy, you're going to skip the prognostication business today?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that Maryland's defense has to look after besides Skylar Howard. Wendell Smallwood, a running back. Shelton Gibson, a wide receiver, very good players. And on defense, they got a fellow named Carl Joseph, who's a tremendous defensive back. So if we can negate these guys, it would definitely bode well for the Terps.
Well, I think it's going to be Sean Davis because they've been targeting him. If West Virginia comes in a 3 wideout look, you're going to see Alvin Hill and Jarrett Ross come into the defensive backfield for Maryland, and some of those linebackers go out. If the defensive backs can hold on, it's going to probably end up being Jalen Brooks at linebacker in coverage on West Virginia's running backs or the 4th receiver. It's just not a strong point for Maryland. The pass rush has to get there. I'm going to agree with Bruce. If this is a 40-point game, Maryland's not going to win. But I'm going to go with the good Caleb. I've been saying it all week. I'll take Maryland. I'll go 30-24 Terps.
That's bold.
What else is going on in the world of Maryland? I know the soccer team came up a little short this week.
Yeah, the soccer team. Last I looked, field hockey was playing today. They were up 2-1 late. Final score?
Mason says 2-1 here in the background.
All right, and yeah, the soccer team. Wow, 1-0 to Georgetown. Are they in Wisconsin tonight or tomorrow?
And Mason,
I think they play Wisconsin.
Mason says he doesn't know that you stumped them, intern. Good job.
23 days to Midnight Madness. That's the key thing.
Robert Carter dropped from 22 his body fat 22% to 11%.
Well,
so he's got a new body.
I went to an event in Baltimore on Monday, started talking about Maryland football. Every question was about Maryland basketball. I don't recall the fan base being this excited about basketball in years. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to win the whole thing, but hey, we got a shot at it.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that.
The Nats game the other night, playing the Orioles, they were running advertisements for season tickets for basketball.
Yeah, I heard they weren't sold out yet, which is surprising to me. I thought by now all tickets would be gone. It's not the case, but we're not here to sell tickets for Maryland. But I'm really looking forward to Georgetown, Maryland on November 17th.
When teams go a little sour, it takes a little more time than just a buzz of a good year or 1 year for the crowds to start coming back to games. It happened with the Orioles, too. You thought right away the people would come back when they started winning, but it takes some time for people's habits to change again.
Okay. You brought up the Orioles. That's the other thing going on. They have to win all the games. Is that what you're picking?
I think they're allowed one loss in there. All the games would give them a darn good shot. But we were talking, me and Freddy were talking before, we both believe that the sweep of the Red Sox this weekend will put them in big-time contention. Now, that's easier said than done to beat a team 3 times on the road, but that's about what they need.
Well, they just beat the Nats 3 times on the road.
Wow, and they were 3 tough games. But by the way, Freddie, I don't know if you know it, Papelbaum 3-game suspension.
Yeah, I saw that. He's appealing it though.
Yeah, he's appealing it, but they might knock a game off. But I thought he got off easy for that. You know, he hits Manny with that pitch. He could have ruined him. Could have killed him, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Straight in the face.
When you want to hit somebody to send a message, you hit him in the middle of the back, not aiming at the hands, and aiming at the head. And he's got a habit of instigating problems with when he was the Phillies and the Red Sox, and now with the Nats. Something about Papelbon, he's a little ornery.
I thought it was interesting that when that happened, a lot of Orioles players ran out of the dugout on the field. The Nats players weren't there to back up Jonathan Papelbon. They sort of backed off. He stranded himself. I'm not sure he's really a part of that Nationals team yet, but that is one disappointing team, even though they still have a slightly better record than the Orioles do. But I think the Orioles.
Are we on the Matt Williams death watch here? I mean, how long does he last?
They're saying cottage for him now, and the trays are being made at the deli for the Shiva House. He is, as soon as I think they're eliminated, he's going to go, and I think Rizzo has a good chance of taking a walk also as a general manager.
Yeah, it's hard to believe without all that talent on that team, it's almost impossible that they can't win, or at least make the playoffs. You know, they ran into a buzzsaw with the Mets, but.
And before we wrap this up, late last night I saw a note on Sport.com. Freddie backed it up with another note from Fox that Duquette and Showalter are not getting along that well. Isn't that to be expected at this point?
This is something I've brought up on the radio station months ago. That the problems in the front office. There's Kenny Rosenthal reported from a source saying that there's people in the warehouse upset that Duquette wasn't let go to Toronto, which is something I reported on a long time ago. I said there's a rift between Buck and Duquette, which has been brought out in a lot of reporters now. I heard a while back that Buck was given the option of either managing or being a GM next year. He chose managing. Duquette's expressed interest in coming back because, quite frankly, I don't think there's another job out there for Duke. The Toronto gig was his dream job, and once Shapiro got that from Cleveland, who's a former Gilman kid from Baltimore, I don't think there's another team out there that would go for Duquette. The trend right now for general managers in baseball are young Ivy League kids that are into sabermetrics and know the farm system real well. The Red Sox hired a kid from Princeton today, Mark Hazen, out of Princeton. He's actually old compared to some of these other guys. I think he's 39 or 40. But the Indians just picked up a guy from, I think it was Harvard, who's like 31 or 32, and that's the trend now. Ivy Leaguers that are sabermetrics gurus with the numbers and have a knowledge of the farm system.
All right, Bruce, do you have your list of big college games coming up this weekend?
No, and I can't get it because I'd have to switch off. So
Well, you got Arizona State against UCLA should be a big one.
That's tonight, isn't it?
I don't know.
Mason, who are the big college games?
BYU's playing Michigan. Go ahead,
Mason, go ahead.
At 12, there's my pick to watch is BYU and Michigan in Ann Arbor. Can BYU get it done, or was it a fluke with the Hail Marys?
I don't know. Who do you have at 3:30 tomorrow?
At 3:30?
Later, yeah.
The interesting game to watch would be TCU and Tavon Boykin against a Texas Tech team that beat Arkansas last week.
Well, what about Maryland, West Virginia? Where's that rank on Fox Sports 1 at 3 o'clock?
I actually think it's about second this weekend. There's not much going on at 3:30.
Right. Are there any late games?
Yeah.
There are 2 late games in the Pac-12. There's Oregon and Utah, and Josh Rosen and UCLA against Scooby Wright in Arizona.
So you impressed, Bruce, with your Josh Rosen? He was your sort of pick of the week last week.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I thought he was outplayed by the BYU guy. But
Wait a minute, I thought his pick of the week was Georgia Tech to roll over Notre Dame.
Well, we got that too, but as far as a player to watch, it was
well,
Rosen.
you make a mistake with Freddy, you get rolled over, buddy. Let me tell you something. The truck backs up and puts tire marks along with Bill Murray. Okay.
Well, I think we're about at the end of our TerpTalk.
Yeah, our sponsor. You got to talk about Meyer. This is his day.
This is day. Well, the Meyer Consulting Engineers, let me switch cameras here. Meyer Consulting Engineers in Rockville. There's a video up of Ed and I talking about the rivalry, West Virginia. It's one of his favorite rivalries because West Virginia moves to the Big 12, lost all their traditional rivals, your Pitt, Penn State, Syracuse, sort of the same guys that Maryland played for so long. West Virginia feeling one of our only true rivals, although it's good to have Penn State back. And, of course, everybody's trying to make Rutgers into a rivalry game. I'm not buying that yet. So we thank Meyer.
I'm sorry we're not playing West Virginia for the next few years, to tell you the truth. It's always, except for 2 years ago, it's usually a great game.
Yeah, it's been a good game for a long time. But as usual, as we wrap up TerpTalk Game Day for this Saturday, West Virginia Rivalry Week, Bruce, you got the last word. What do you see for today's game?
I see Maryland pulling an upset, all right, as Brad Craddock kicks a field goal with time running out. Maryland 24, West Virginia 22.
Mason, take a shot at this?
Yep, I think Maryland gets it done with an Avery Edwards touchdown. Maryland wins 24-17.
And I'm already on the record. I think I'm 31-24. Freddy, you're going to skip out on this one?
Make Maryland great. That's all I'm saying. Make Maryland great.
Well,
Again.
We're going to have so many wins, you're going to get tired of winning, Freddie.
You're going to get bored of winning. You're going to love me. I'm going to build walls. I'm going to have jobs. I'm getting immigrants in and out. Oh, you're going to love everything about me. No substance, but you're going to love me because we're in all the polls.
Thank you for joining us on TerpTalk Game Day. We'll be back next week with the pregame show for Michigan. Michigan comes into Bird Stadium. It's a blackout, 8 o'clock. Today's game, 3 o'clock, Maryland, West Virginia. It's West Virginia's gold-out game. This is Wayne Viener for Freddy from Boca. Wave goodbye, Freddy.
Goodbye, Freddy.
And Bruce Posner. Wave goodbye, Bruce.
Wayne, travel safely, okay? Take your time and make sure you find that parking lot. That's all I'm telling you.
I'm in the media parking lot. I should live. Mason, you enjoy your first trip to Morgantown tomorrow. Of course, coming up next, if you go back to the TerpTalk.com homepage, click on Listen Live if you're outside the area. Bruce Posner is the Sports Maven, brought to you by Coons Ford. And then tomorrow, In the Nest, Science and Kirk presents In the Nest. Both of those on terrestrial radio on 1300 CBS Sports Radio in Baltimore.
Are you coming home tomorrow night after the game, or are you staying over?
I'm trying to come home, make it a nice 14-hour day.
How long is the ride from where you are?
About 4 hours.
That's not too bad. So it'd be 5 hours where I'm at.
Probably. So, hey, we'll talk during and after the game. And, of course, look for tweets from both Bruce and I on the TerpTalk.com homepage. We'll see you next week.
All right.